recording now. All right, cool. Hello. Oh, here comes Taylor. Yippee. Okay, so today is December 29th, 2022. And I'm gonna share a workshop with you today. We're gonna do a little workshop. And this is part of the clarity I've been having and marinating about this group. Is at least once a month I'm gonna do a workshop in here, and people who aren't members can join us. It's included for people who are members. So yeah. And today's about havingness, which is a psychic tool that I learned, another one at Berkeley Psychic Institute. And I'll say that what I discovered about psychic tools from my studies is that you just can make them up. It's, they're visual tools, things you can imagine, and with your breath and such that affect your energy in such a way that you get different kinds of results in your life. We have many tools that we use all the time unconsciously, and that is what is creating our life. So basically, you're just taking responsibility for what you're creating in your life when you're making up or using a psychic tool. I'm really excited because I had mentioned in the group that I have the certificate of entitlement that I made back in 2018 when my daughter was a baby and I was living in my friend's attic and everything was so fucking hard. And I was just on fire though with my purpose. I had my baby there. I was I'm survival view and my human design. I was so engaged in all my practices. I did the ugly cry every night. My daughter would pat my face. And anyway, I made the certificate of entitlement. I have this notebook that I got at the art store, and I had them cut it for me because I was it has to be a square. I want it to be a square. And I did all these different notes and things, to inspire myself and keep myself going. And there was this one title that I made for myself, and I can't find it because I had actually ripped it out. It's somewhere. I have it somewhere, but I had ripped it out, and I was on my group coaching call, and I doused it in breast milk in front of her. I presented it to everybody. I read it, and then I was just psh, I just hosed it down in breast milk, and everybody was "That is so amazing."
Saeri, there's only one person who could do that, and that is you. That is incredible. I'm not sure if it's a credible positive or a credible I'm not sure, but well done.
Well, I had abundance pouring out of me. I mean, I made so much milk. It was crazy. I would nurse my daughter on one side, and the other side was just spray, an ounce and a half of milk. It was nuts. And yet I was making no income, but I had just created a human, and then I was feeding a human from my body. And so it felt I was proud of that. I made that. And I mean, that was not a problem that I had. Having been a doula, I know other women have had problems with, producing milk, and that was not my problem. I had other problems. But it just, the display just kind of came out of me, you guys. It was just, I was so raw, and I was just so devoted to making my way through that time. And it's interesting to see now that I'm way more comfortable, and I just made the most money I've ever made this year, you guys. It's so nuts. I just the way that I'm not as disciplined as I was in that time. So I'm calling a lot of that back in right now because I'm having a big pivot in a way, in my business and in my life and everything. And so I want to bring these tools in and share with you guys. And I would like to inspire you to create your own certificate of entitlement. So, but I did find one that was still in my notebook, and I actually had just posted it on Facebook. Here, I'll read it to you. It says, title, The Scene Seer. Mama at home in her skin, lover at home in the world, devoted to earth, alive beyond decay, 100% awareness and availability, open, respectful, wealthy, integrous, invited, unconditionally loving, master, mistress of mystery. Yes, please. So, and when David said like, only one person could douse it, there actually was like, I think there might be breast milk on this. There was another one I was looking at that like the colors were running. But breast milk was just kind of on everything at that time.
You made it sound like a fireworks show.
It was. But what I want to say about it, only me being the only person who could do something like that, it's, I mean, yes, because that's me, but each of us have something freaky in us and wonderful, and then when we encounter our external world as it's been created from our conditioning, we're locking ourselves up, and we're not letting those things come through because they do seem so weird. But the thing is that we all have something inside of us that's just like wanting to get out. And so we empower each other when we allow ourselves to be seen. And that's my intention in this group, is to create a space where you can just even let a little bit, you don't have to go so crazy. It doesn't have to look like this. It doesn't have to be like, I mean, this is what I did, and I'm not here now. I mean, I loved it. I'm like, oh, I have this now. Cool. My past me made it. Because I'm not feeling that. I feel a lot more like, well, I have created a lot of structure since then, but I'm also in a place where I'm wanting to like free myself up for my next steps. So I just had a call with Halima, and so I had this idea to like invite her to do her own certificate of entitlement to bring to this call. And I had mentioned it in a post in the group, and I didn't really explain it very much. So I thought, let's do it right now. And does anybody do it or attempt to do it or come up with any words or pictures that they would like to share? Oh, Halima, I wonder if you got a chance, or if you want to share. Oh, it looks like Nova does.
Yeah, when you shared that, I was like, wow, that is badass, and I want to do that, but I didn't know what to do it about. And then I had a call with my my therapist. I work with a somatic therapist every week, and so I had the call this morning, and something came up on that call that was really powerful. And then like shortly after that, you posted the thing about the title of the certificate of entitlement, and I was like, that's what I'm going to do it on. And basically it's being me.
Yeah.
Because I had a thing come up around, we tapped into like my anger and realized that I like hold myself back when I'm angry. Like I hold my body back. And I think that comes from, experiences with maybe people being scared of my manifestor anger, and maybe even intentionally telling me to, hold myself back or something. And so what came up when I started doing physical things, I was taking pillows and just hitting my bed, and I could feel all of this come out of me. And it was just like, I just am fucking me. Like, I just am. I am gonna be angry. I'm gonna be, I am me, and I'm done not being me. So it's one of the pieces of it. There's more pieces, but
cool.
Yeah.
Oh gosh, now I'm like, I said I would just go an hour, and I totally am gonna go 90 minutes probably for all the things I want to do, because I'm like getting ideas now. Yeah, so when you say me, I'm like, well, I would like to hear like what those qualities are that like you would like to give yourself permission for. So the title is about giving yourself permission and inviting that energy, even though it might feel really imaginary, like these things, a mama at home in her skin, you know, like that was something I was struggling with at the time. I didn't put anything about money on this one, but there was another one that it was like all about money. A lot of these are about money actually, but let's see. It says treat her to your best and give her lots of money on this one. So yeah, that's my that's an invitation for each of you. And I'm also thinking that something that we could try is like if like Nova, for instance, if it might help for you, for anybody maybe who has a word for like what they feel when you come on and when you talk, you know, or when they look at you. If anybody would like some reflections as you're just drawing up a certificate today, we could play with that too. Does that sound fun to you, Nova? Yeah, I see Enos coming on. I wonder if he wants to say something, or he's just bringing his image.
Yeah, no, I was just kind of bringing the image, but I did write up a certificate prior, like 15 minutes before. So yeah,
Oh,
it's pretty cool. Just you know, things being reflected in the group, you know, with body, with finances, with you know, all the things, maintaining, managing, and all that stuff. You know, it's kind of coming into center for me to be like, okay, these are the things I need to focus on myself a little bit more, and how is it that I can truly bring it out? You know, so it's
yeah,
that's part of that.
cool. I wonder if you would like to share anything, that share your certificate or anything
Oh
on there.
yeah. Let me drink some water real quick. So I kind of wrote it, you know, in line with kind of the path that I've been given. You know, in terms of communication, in terms of writing things down. My time in the Air Force, you know, we did a lot of certificates. You know, so I kind of wrote it in that kind of format. So I'll read it out. It says, Certificate of Entitlement. This certificate is presented to one who is on the path of service in abundance. It is my pleasure to recognize the longevity of faith and commitment of this one servant. The continued outreach in harmony and joy and humor is confirmed on this day. And then, let me just try and bring up the image. Trying to do with one hand here. But anyway, the certificate reads, the abundant servant, right here, right? So it's dated, signed. Yeah, so it's kind of pretty cool. You know, this experience in these past couple of weeks of, you know, things being brought to my attention, you know, to be a service or be of, you know, a voice in the community that I'm with directly. You know, particularly my people and my family and all that good stuff. So yeah, just coming out, Saeri, like you mentioned, you know, coming out in abundance as well. Yeah, I do feel that on this level. So yeah, it's fun to work with.
Wow. Well, I got full body chills as you were sharing that and tears in my eyes. And thank you. And I just want to, you know, call each of you on this call or watching the recording to just notice, you know, what happens in your body when you know, witness Enos sharing his tremendous heart and discipline. I love the military aspect that you mentioned, that, you know,
Right. Yeah.
because that's like influence in your life, right?
Right.
Like,
Exactly.
and David had said something to me about human design on our coaching call in his group this morning. And David, I said no, because he was saying, isn't it like you had these experiences in your life? And I was kind of like, well, and then that's who you are. And I was like, I don't know, remember exactly what he said, but I said no, but it's like, this is actually an example of how, like, yeah, that's not something like inherent in your essence, right? The
Right, right,
military. It's
right.
something that you encountered that is tremendous conditioning in our
Mhm.
world, but also if you're in the military. But I just love how like who you are is coming through that frame.
Right. Exactly. And that's what I was trying to aim for. It's like, I don't want to deny anything, but at the same time, how is it that I can use it to the advantage that that I am?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
beautiful.
Thank you.
Talia, did you have something left? Or maybe not. Oh,
I couldn't tell if you called my name. I think you did.
I just saw you come on and I was like wondering.
No, my son is pushing buttons. No, this is actually, I've been completely MIA from the group. I didn't realize that my new phone didn't even have the app. So I re-downloaded it today. I was like, oh wait, Thursday. And I remembered that the calls are on Thursday. I was like so proud of myself.
Oh, lucky. Okay.
But no, I don't want to add, because what I have, I guess, would be more reflective of something else. So just here to kind of listen and be with.
Okay. Great. Well, let's take a few minutes to write something if you haven't already. And yeah, and in the meantime, if anybody wants a little support or would like some reflection, it looked like Nova might have wanted some, we can play with that.
Saeri?
Yeah.
I'd be very obviously you know me quite well, and Nova knows me a little. I don't feel what's the word, in the right place to try and find these words for me right now. So I think the word I'm reaching out for is grounded. That's probably because the way that I've been over the last few days, that's all. And I had some really horrible dreams last night, some quite demonic dreams for the first time in years. So I'm happy to be here, and not just physically, but happy to hear your beautiful voice.
Yeah.
So I ask you, if it's okay, what do you feel could be on my certificate from your observations of me, please?
Well, I mean, you have this whimsy about you that I really appreciate. And I wonder, when you're feeling heavy, and is grounded a positive word for you? Or
yes, it is. Yeah. But so is flying at 30,000 feet. I quite enjoy that at the same time. It just, what I'm trying to say is I feel, I don't want to say I feel lost, but I don't feel particularly well placed at the moment on a spiritual vibe. A little bit of disconnect is probably the right way of describing it.
Yeah.
And that's why I'm struggling to tap into. I don't know how to pronounce the gentleman's first name. I apologize. Is it Ines? Ines, his assurity within his voice and the simplicity within what he said. I could see he really hit the nail on the head. And for me right now, I'd be reaching out to try and do that. And because I'm reaching out, I know I'd be missing the mark. That's why I ask for what your opinion is.
Yeah, so what comes to mind, a little human design stuff actually, is that Enos has a very defined G center, identity center, as do I. And I know Talia does, and Halima, but you and Nova do not have a defined G center, and that's about identity, love, and direction. And so, I hear like some, like there can be that comparison when you encounter somebody like me or Enos, where we're just like, we have this quality of like, I am, like it is really, I mean, it's nuts sometimes and very mysterious and wild, but like there's there's like a kind of solidness and centeredness to that for you, you amplify that from others, and you can play with all kinds of identity. And so like to make an I am statement for an undefined G, and actually a lot of the I am work I've done have been with undefined Gs, like my coach Gary Mahler and Steve Hardison has an undefined G, and that's like what he has all of his clients do. He has them do these he calls it the document, and it's about I am. So what I've observed is that, and I was a little cynical at first, especially when Gary Mahler was like, had this I am statement. But the thing is that it's like, he used it to encompass his values and
Okay.
how he wants to walk in the world. And this isn't exactly an I am statement, but it is like an identity kind of thing. And so, and I could feel that too when Nova was talking, because she's just like, I'm me, but it's like there can be this like hesitancy to get more specific. But when you get
Yeah.
into like a way of being that you desire, it feels good to you. And when I said whimsy and you said flying high, it's like there, you could have a permission to have access to your the levity of your nature, even when you're feeling, to be grounded and flying, like I defy gravity while also being anchored or something like that.
Okay, right. Okay, I'm learning. I'm starting to feel where you're getting from, and yeah, I can't remember the word you said a moment ago, but I felt that I wanted to say it was in relation to identity. Yes, I can feel myself, but at the same time, I can feel myself in so many different places at so many different times, and it's almost as if there is a lack of identity, if that makes sense. But I'm guessing what you're saying is that is the identity. Is that right?
Well, it's very flexible for you, and you can find your preference, and what suits you for sure. And but like I would say like permission to be like, I don't know. I get a lot of wind pictures and energy as we're talking about this.
Okay.
And so and I've been saying this about myself lately, like sometimes I feel like I'm like flapping in the wind, especially like the single mama aspect of me. I sometimes feel like just I'm flapping in the wind, like there's no man here anchoring me or looking
Well,
after, providing.
I feel like, as you say that, I feel like this determined little house sparrow flying literally out 30,000 feet going, I can do this. I don't mind what's up against me. I'm having it.
In your spirit.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely with the spirit. Like, I don't care if the world's against me. Not that the world is against me, but I can fit into any place at any time. It's just that I can. But at the same time, the word I'm looking for is there was a song in the 80s, I think it was Paul Young, wherever I lay my hat, that's my home. And I can do that a little bit.
Yeah, so I got a sparkle in my body when you said that. And as you're talking about this, yeah, your energy feels congruent with how I know you. And then maybe there would just be something in there that I can rest when I need to rest.
There's no rest here. That's it, you see.
So that might be something to put in your title. Like I was saying, it could be something that feels like you can't have it right now, but we're gonna, in the second part, after we get a little clarity about what you want to put on your title and give yourself permission for, we're gonna actually work with the energy of like opening that up.
Well, look, I'm going to put myself on mute because this shouldn't be the David and Saeri show. It should be the Saeri show.
Well, it was on your call this morning, but
thank you for getting me to that point, because you're absolutely right, and I am entitled to rest. Appreciate that. Thank you all.
A lot of times I'm just saying this generally, I've seen this a lot with manifestors and with emotional people, or like anybody, like I've been diagnosed as bipolar. um, but but really what it is it's like when we have high contrast experiences, and then when we're on the high part of it, we can think that we need to be there, and especially all the time, especially like when it feels really good. But then when we're naturally coming down, or we need to rest, then we have a negative experience of the low because we're comparing. And so I think there's a big piece about just like that permission to be how you are. And it's like, may I please have more graceful experiences when I'm down? a more anxiety. Like from being hungry, or
No, anxiety is the anxiety you feel during a hangover. And but as you was experiencing the high, I was thinking about the high after you've been having a few little drinkies and what have you not, and then on the Monday or the Tuesday afterwards, boom, hit the bottom. And my life can be a little bit like that, but I love what you're saying. It really resonates. Thank you.
yeah, and it's the same for when we have a big emotional experience, like I call it an emotional hangover. And yeah, it's like it's about resting really and nourishing, and that's usually what's, especially in these westernized cultures that conditioned us and raised us up, like we'll value the high and then we say something's wrong when we're in the low. And yeah, it's just a little shift that we can do to just give ourselves some more grace. Okay, would anybody else like a little support or feedback on their what they'd like to entitle themselves to? And you don't have to write it down. I mean, it's maybe you do it later, and maybe you want to make something that you feel proud of. But even just like for the purposes of this call, to have a little bit of something to work with.
All right, can I share what I have so far? Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. So I actually have two titles, but only one of them I'm going to say because the other one I'm scared to say.
Okay.
High Priestess of the Hearth. And then the description I have, because I noticed that you had a description on yours, was unbridled, wild woman freedom, conscious, head clearing, breathing, deeply connected to soulful grooves and Mother Earth. Sensual serenades while nestled in the hearth. And hearth, I should explain, is like a word. There's a bunch of different words that are inside the word. It's a word that I use a lot to kind of encompass a bunch of different stuff that I'm into, because it's got earth, it's got art, it's got heart, and then it's got hearth, which to me is like that feeling of home, of like breaking bread with friends and just like being yourself, like Nova said, just being me.
Yeah, at home. Beautiful. Oh, I mean, you probably see how moved I was if you were watching. Thank you, sweetheart. That's wonderful.
Yes, fireplace. Yeah, that's exactly what it is. And for some reason, I think of it as different than a fireplace, because I feel like in a hearth, you specifically make like soups and breads and stuff in it, like that you feed, like your family and like well-wishers, and like not well-wishers, but like visitors with. That is what I imagine it in my head.
I love that.
The difference between hearth and fireplace.
Cool. There's like so much cool stuff going on in the chat. I just looked at it. Before I go to Nova, I just want to say I saw Taylor's coming in. Funny how the word entitlement has become darkened by its entwinement with selfishness. Yeah, I hereby cleanse the word from this current staining. Oh, decree. I love it. And there was a reclamation for me in that word. It actually, I was obsessed with the movie Jupiter Ascending. Has anybody seen that? So the main character finds out that she's actually the reincarnation of this like cosmic queen. And there's like this whole like process she goes through to claim her title. And I was just like, whoa, like I really felt that, like, and the royal aspect, which I really resonate with personally. And the royal aspect of the soul, really, the soul incarnate. So Nova said, mine is really about being free to be me in ways that others may be uncomfortable with, still feeling into the wording. Yeah. Okay. Did you want any other little processing or share around that before we move on?
Yeah, I just wanted to say, just kind of refining what it is, and getting more specific. That's kind of what comes up for me. And I was looking at like, I went on while we were talking, I was like researching like different kinds of certificates, like what kinds of, because I realized I'm actually not really familiar with certificates and like what can be on them and how they are structured and whatnot. So yeah, after Inez was talking about, having familiarity with, certificates, and so he knew how to do his, I was like, oh right, I don't know anything. And I also really appreciate the guidance from you that I'm getting as you're, sharing with people and whatnot. That's helping me kind of refine it more and more. And Halima, goodness gracious, that was powerful. Thank you.
So powerful. Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, I have a little idea for you, Nova, if you'd like to hear it. Well, so when there's parts of ourselves that we're really, we've shut them down for very valid reasons, like our caretakers were really fucking scared and would become dangerous people. Right. So when there's things like that, like, your anger and your manifestor. So there it is. I think something to have permission for is not just the being and the feeling of it, because that still will feel really scary. That I think to add something in there about that I can handle myself, or that I can be skillful, or I trust myself to feel and express, or to discern, those kinds of words, to, allow the feeling to come up with some safety there, and to invoke that skillfulness. Because what happens is that, like, when we shut it down to be safe, but then the older we get, the less safe we are holding it back because it didn't get to develop. So it's like, or even that my, whatever I feel can, I mean, you can get really wishful with it, rapidly develop and mature and surprise myself with how skillful I am. Or how much I can trust myself, or that I can experience the gifts of my anger, and other people could see that too. Here's one of the things I had written. Wow, I don't know why yet, but this lady has what I need. Like that other people would say this about me. I will do whatever it takes to be in her presence. I was really struggling with enrollment at that point, like people, and it's something I still work through, and I'm working through in my pivot right now. It's like, people are like, oh my gosh, I totally have to be in your space. Wait, it's how much? Never mind. Like, wait, what happened to that? She glows, you know how to treat her. Yeah, people, there's something that's a fun one, that I would emanate how to treat me. People just know. I'm entitled. My certificate of entitlement, my title is that people know how to treat me. And therefore I know how to vibrate in such a way that people know how to treat me. and that is really palpable with manifestors, actually. And I think that people do know how to treat you. But the thing is that when you violate yourself, like you're actually emanating, this is how you treat me. And people just fall in line. And it's like, and that's why I always like when I see in the manifestor groups, manifestors being like, don't you know this is how you're supposed to treat a manifestor? It's like, you're literally like, people are treating you exactly how you're vibrating to treat you. And that's why I think a lot of people just run, and that's the repelling aspect, because it's like, you know, if they're like, that's scary, like this is how I want to treat this manifestor, and they're like, never mind, see ya. Which is, you know, probably appropriate for the manifestor, but they tend to get these stories that something's wrong with them, or that people don't love them or whatever. I'm entitled to, this is David, I'm entitled to connect to my higher self and also to lose myself in my crazy human self. I can roll dice of experimentation, bring a level of cheekiness to life that helps break down barriers other might feel inappropriate. And it's also okay to rest, David. I don't need to be on call 24/7. I love that. So much permission. And I experienced that. I mean, that is you. I mean, the crazy ideas you've shared with me to navigate some of the conflicts I've had. I'm just like, you make me laugh so hard, and you've given me permission to do things I would have never even imagined. But just imagining them like gave me more space. It's such a gift of you. Entitlement, Halima, entitlement in that has more to do with the way certain groups are interacted with in a repressive manner. Words can and often do have different meanings. We can be entitled in all sorts of ways without removing the validity of other meanings. Yeah, and you can also, I mean, a title is claiming. It's a claiming. This is what this means for me. So, you know, yeah, well, and I love, Halima, how you were working with the word hearth and you explained that to us, you know, the 3 words in there. That's such a cool way to look. You really expanded that word for me, and I already feel good about it. But, you know, it's like it was 2-dimensional before you explained it. But regardless of if you explain it to other people or not, you defining that for yourself and claiming that for yourself is going to affect your field.
Mm-hmm.
I
have something coming up.
Yeah, okay.
If it's correct to kind of double back.
Mm-hmm.
So, and then maybe you guys can help pull, because I'm going to shorten the story, but it was my first experience of experiencing a feeling of pure entitlement. And I have never shared this out loud, and this feels like the right space to share out loud, and also help me digest it where it feels better in my body. Because there's still a level of, I don't want to fully take it in, because it feels there's a level of hierarchy, like better than another, that's in there. And I don't like that. So when I moved here to the South, this is very close to New Orleans. There's a lot of voodoo here and stuff like that. And yeah, I had no awareness of any of it. I had one moment where I was taking a shower and I flashed into this other zone, and I saw this it was basically this goddess woman, but she smacked down this staff, and then it flew in with this story of the 7 sister witches. My name, Talia, is all of my sister's initials. I am the 7th of 7. I am the baby. And it flashed into, now here there's a story I learned later about the 7 sisters, this mythology of the 7 sisters being one who maybe transforms into 7 instead of it actually being 7 different women. And but I ended up falling down on my hands and my knees in the shower, putting my hands down on the floor, and then I felt it go deep into the earth and blackness. And it was like this, I am returning here, I am claiming my right, I am reclaiming the falseness in, like, there's, I don't even know what it was. It was very ego. It was very like, you know, and me as like this little white girl coming in here, you know, generations of stuff. Like, I don't even feel right having that experience, you know, in this form. But there was a truth there that I can feel in me of reclaiming the magic, reclaiming some of my story and maybe the mythology. And, you know, it was something that I'm taking into my person, but I also can feel caution with, because it's a story, right? It feels good to say, oh yeah, I'm the 7th of 7, this magical whatever. And I can feel that there's something trying to integrate from that experience with something that is within me, that titling of, and it was very like, I had no doubt in that moment, like the queen is returning type feeling. And since then, like, I've had bouts of anger when I find like weird, inauthentic shit around here. And it feels like someone's tripping on my land, my kingdom. And it's anyways, but that kind of recame as I was listening to you guys talk and feeling into parts of ourselves that we're entitled to, that maybe are there but aren't getting light. It was a very activating experience for me. It's a very activating experience.
Oh, that's so rich. Yeah. And I remember when we were working together a while back, there was a picture of a staff. You were holding the staff.
Yeah.
To the earth. That was, and boom. Thank you. Okay. Does anybody else want to say anything? And then I'm going to move into the havingness tool. David has a recognition for you, Talia.
Yes, I'd be happy to receive some.
He said Talia, it feels like you have ownership and boundaries, something that was not there in previous generations. You feel so assured. It's great to hear your story.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I like to kind of reflect something too. I kind of feel that same kind of vibe in a way that, kind of stepping into something that's there, certainly alongside with the anger piece of it. And I'm finding through that anger, the creativity of, let's say, the purpose or things that need to be played out, however it may be, is coming into light. So and I'm finding that those recognitions from how people treated me in childhood, the good and the bad, and I'm allowing those to be the indicators of the story plot, if you will, of how to really step into that, and I'm finding that through the voice, through all of the studying of HD and whatnot, so it's just kind of manipulating and keep pivoting. And it's embodying that, it's pretty wild, because I hear people reflect things to me that I was like, man, that's only meant for me in a way, right? And that's helpful. So I'm finding it helpful again through your sharing.
Taylor, would you like to say anything? I'm fine if you don't, and I've just noticed you've been quiet today, and I don't know if you're in a way to share.
I am in a way to share, and I'm just taking in. I didn't do this prior to the coming together with the call. There's been a desire and a calling in for something anchoring within myself. I'd spend a fair amount of time swimming in the stories and the emotions and feelings, and there's a desire for some kind of anchoring. I'm actively doing the exercise of like, what's my word for this upcoming year or this time, and it hasn't yet made itself known in terms of a kinesthetic splash. But also what's coming up with this certificate of entitlement that we're doing is something about being in a waterfall of loving, benevolent presence that can engulf and hold me in the parts of myself that are being healed and fortified. Because as a healer, I spend a lot of time putting that energy out, but I struggle when I'm in my own spiraling or ungrounded. I would love to summon that energy when I'm in that state that could really speak to and hold and soothe that kinesthetic feeling of being unsettled. So there's something in that as well, within that anchoring and also being under like this waterfall of reassuring love.
Mm. Thank you. So beautiful. Yeah, with you, listening to you, I felt very anchored. I noticed my breath. I started to breathe deeper, and then I'm like, oh yeah, Sarah, you better start these people breathing when we get into having this, like, so thank you for that. And that's the impact of your, your share and your presence on me today. Thank you. Okay, let's get into it. Yeah, so I did a little post actually right before, right after I got off of the call with Halima, because working with Halima today was a gift of reclamation for me and remembering of my breath, and that like water, like it's just ridiculous trying to do anything without that on board in a conscious way. So let's begin there. So I invite you to, kind of, it might be kind of like a spiraling in toward your center, so you might just sense wherever you have been in relation to your body, wherever your consciousness has been. And if it's way out there, that's okay. Just start to let it circle in and come, invite it in closer as you deepen your breath. And deepening your breath is that your body is moving when you breathe. And you may even kind of facilitate that movement, like push your belly out on the inhale and then let it soften in on the exhale. There's also an expansion of the pelvic floor on an inhale. And then a rising of it. The pelvic floor will lift on a natural exhale. And for me, sometimes it's like, it kind of feels like I'm manually operating my breath. And so if it feels that way to you, like one of the metaphors I have for it, like getting my breath going, is like starting up a rusty old lawnmower, the like, it might feel a little bit like that. And so what I'd like to offer, if it feels like a little bit of labor to breathe, is to let it be. Just be like, yep, I'm going to manually operate my inhales. I'm inhaling and now I'm exhaling. And let that be your focus. We don't have to focus on anything fancy. Like, this is the basics of your life. So it's worthy of your attention. And if it takes all of your focus to properly, fully, and completely inhale and exhale, I promise you it's worth it. You will probably not be able to track not self narratives. Hooray for that. And the not self narratives tend to kind of like go out like, like little monsters dying. Like they're like, no, you need me. Wait, listen. We need to pay attention to this or that. You're killing me. You're killing you. We're dying. And it's just like, I love you. I'm inhaling again and I'm exhaling again. What's really happening to those voices is they are getting restored to what they really are. And if they're not yours, they're being returned. And if they are yours, they are being nourished. And there doesn't have to be a thought for you to exist. The stories are secondary. You don't actually need them. And we're going to come around in a second. We're going to work with the stories that we're choosing, but from this place. So one other physical thing to notice or to create is the expansion of your ribs on the inhale. The ribs are physically a place where we'll kind of store away toxins. And, we've got the lungs and the heart in there. So, there can be grief. I've heard the liver's got anger, in there, and that's kind of right there under the right ribs, right below them. So, a lot of times we're not moving our ribs because it gets, we start to feel some things and things get loosened up. So just kind of bring in some of your courage. And I also like to invoke my teenage self, that teenage energy, a little rebellion. Breathe with a little rebellion. And I'm going to be quiet here I'm going to time a minute. And just let you find a rhythm for yourself to carry with you forward into this process. Okay, so go ahead and we're going to invoke the whatever you're calling in permission for today. And the way that you hold that it can be your own. It doesn't have to be a full statement. It could be one word. It could be a picture that you're working with. It could be a sensation in your body. And you can't do this wrong. So just go ahead and, give yourself permission to be in kindergarten and just play and pick something to work with today. It also doesn't have to be the ultimate thing, It can be something that's like, that would be nice. That'd be nice to have some more permission, some more havingness around that. So go ahead and pick your thing. And let's take 3 breaths just to, establish your breath in the presence of this topic. Intend to bring your breath with you on this journey. To ride your breath. Let it be the vehicle of your journey. My teacher, Anna Forrest, calls it, she says, get on your wind horse with your breath. So mount your wind horse. I can feel the resonance with y'all. That's cool. I'm happy that came through. Okay, so havingness. It's your level of how open are you to having something? So, you can say like, I want to be a millionaire, but like, do you actually have the capacity for that? Do you have the havingness? Do you have the permission? within just your energetic field to be that. So we're gonna set up some psychic tools. First, let's make sure you're connected to the earth, and you can just do that by drawing an imaginary line, a cord from the base of your, your spine, your seat, nice and wide, connected to your bones, and then all the way down into the center of the planet, and give Mama Earth a hello and a thank you for holding you and having you. Her havingness for you. Ooh. So there's something too, is you can check in with Earth about Earth's havingness for you and your havingness. Look at Earth's capacity. And even the things that we think are bad and wrong going on here on Earth, Earth has havingness for it. For the wealth and for the poverty, for the struggle and the grace. And let's do a quick golden sun. So big golden sun, you can clap your hands together, rub them, get them hot. And then you're going to reach up and picture a big golden sun above your head. And you're going to call your energy home to you from wherever it has been or thought it was going. Here, kitty, kitty, come home to me. Energy, come home, come back, come in, come in, come in. Fill up that golden sun nice and big and full and hot. Swirling with you, and then bring you down into your body. And you can touch, you can poke a hole in it, let it waterfall over you. Bring it all the way down. I like to even bend over and then kind of dump out any foreign energy down my grounding cord and get it all the way down to the soles of your feet and your toenails and the tips of your hair. And then go ahead and envision a screen in front of you. Oh, let's do a quick psychic sobriety test. So you just take your fingers to the center of your skull on the side, like just above your ears, and draw an imaginary line. Feel the line between your fingers. And then one from front of head, like at your temple, to the back. So you're going to make an X in the center of your head. Keep breathing. And then bring your consciousness, your seeing one, into the center of your head. That can be a really trippy feeling, especially if you I would spend my time, most of my time, about a foot in front of my face. So from the center of your head, go ahead and put up a screen in front of your face. So you're not at the screen, you're looking at it. And you're going to create some kind of meter measurement. So it could be like a thermometer. The one that I like to use is like a gauge that's kind of, like a half circle. And so go ahead and create some kind of gauge that makes sense for you. It could be like a clock, like a gauge that way. I don't know why. Mine's a half because I like this just like, yeah, I like that it has like a destination. But it's up to you. So take some breaths here to create this picture of some kind of gauge for yourself. It doesn't have to make sense to anybody but you. And you can look at the colors of it. And then also like how it works, like when it's full, when it hits capacity, like what happens. For me, like bells go off and like confetti, and there's like a rainbow. Some gold things happen. I also kind of make it up as I do it sometimes, but those are some, elements I've played with in the past. All right. And now, so go ahead and let your gauge be up there, just neutral, like it's empty. It's clear. It's not measuring anything right now. And then ask it to show you your level of havingness for this topic that you're working with today. Get a read on your havingness right now. And there's no wrong answer. You want the real answer. So if it's at 2%, you want to know that you're at 2%, not judge it and be like, I should be at 50 or 80 or something. And you know, bring your breath in here. Notice if you start holding your breath, like, yikes. I don't know if I want to know this. That sounds kind of scary. What would I make myself do if I think I'm at 2%? And there's no promises. We're not making any promises here. We're just looking. We're not saying I will because of this, or I have to. Would anybody like to share their read on their havingness? Just real quick, like just shout out your number.
$55 out of 100.
Great. Yeah, my spleen rang with that. So that sounds true. Feels true. Halima says slightly less than half.
20 out of 100.
Mine was 3/4 of a half.
3/4 of half. Okay.
Yeah.
Got it. What did you say, Enos?
20 out of 100.
20 out of 100. Okay. 20%. Talia says about a third. Great. Cool. All right. So let's take some breaths to just feel where you're at and just like breathe in that number and take in the sensations of being wherever you are. All right. And now you're going to look back at your gauge on your screen. You might check that you're in the center of your head and you're connected to earth and your breath is online. You're going to need it for this. And you're just going to turn it up. So, you know, you might have a dial. And if you don't, maybe you want one, you can use the dial to turn it up. You know, if it's like a thermometer, you're going to crank up the heat under it, turn up the fire. Woo! And keep breathing and notice the sensations. Oh my gosh, it feels so yummy. I'm like freezing cold with splenic chills right now, you guys. And I'm not doing it for myself because I'm doing it by guiding you guys, but turn it up, turn it up, turn it up, turn it up. What's 100 feel like? You turn it up to 100. You might notice like you get to like 75 and the needle's like, and then what does it take to like, can you just let go of something? Can you take a deeper exhale maybe and let it turn up? Does the picture change? So let's take 3 more breaths together and just go for it. Just crank it up. If you're already there, like hold it there. Ding, ding, ding. All right. Anybody want to share their experience of that?
I'm pedaling like an incredibly fast hamster on a hamster wheel who's out of puff, and I get to like 75, and then that hamster starts to go, David, I need an energy drink quick.
Yeah. Uh-huh. Okay, that's fun. So your happiness is about resting. Interesting, huh? So it sounds like you're using a lot of energy to turn up to 75. And then you get confronted with that you need a rest or a surge of energy. So I wonder, David, if you could like just, and y'all can stay with your gauges right now. Like stay with your own havingness as I'm talking to David. And this is interesting to watch too, what happens if you leave the center of your head, if your gauge goes down to like hear David's. But so David, my challenge to you is, can you relax and turn up your gauge?
Let's see if I can do that, because I did feel the irony of it all.
Yeah.
Of increasing the tempo, but trying to relax at the same time.
And I'll bet you there are times when that works just great for you, but you don't have the energy for that right now.
No, that's right. It took quite a bit.
So David's a generator. And so this is like how he relates to his energy. And this is where, you know, especially us non-energy beings, which there's, it's me and Halima representing. I mean, manifestors are non-sacral, but they're energy beings. But this is where the wisdom of not just the non-sacral, but also of being a non-energy type comes in, because we just can't draw from that. We learn very quickly that, you know, when we start running on that little hamster wheel and we get to 75, we cannot sustain it. And look, here's a generator. He can't sustain it. He needs to rest.
Yeah, it's dropping, but it's not crashing, you know. It's
Yeah.
It's dropping, but it's like I'm happy for it to drop, because of it's not going to go below where it was, and it's going to stay a little higher. And yeah, it's
So I'm not getting the sense that you're gauging your havingness for your resting, your
Did you say
permission.
that again, Sarah? I misheard you.
You didn't hear me?
I misheard you. Could you repeat that, please?
I'm not getting the sense that your gauge is measuring your, when you say it's going down, that it's measuring your permission to rest.
Okay.
So let's work with your havingness to rest. And then see, like, and maybe you want a different gauge, because I don't know what kind of gauge you're using that needs a little hamster running on it. So you might want to just throw that picture out and try something else. Something that can effortlessly raise your havingness to rest, even to feel tired, to restore.
What I will throw into the equation is I feel a really sharp pain now at the back of my throat.
Okay, cool. Good noticing. Yeah, so just be with that. Play with your picture there for a little bit, and with your breath.
I'm going to put myself on mute. I'm playing with this picture. It's kind of fun.
Great. Okay, there you go. Good job. So Talia said my gauge is weird as fuck. It's a blank circle until something hits it, and then it coned out with each ring of it a different color, and it was dynamic moving, but it also shifted out of a cone shape into different shapes, like water filling a bowl, and feelings of fullness or emptiness. Cool. Great. You understood the assignment. Make it your own. Halima says, I felt resistance, but I also had an awareness of all ways I let people repress me, like when my husband would tell me I have no tact. So I began trying to watch what I say and how I say it even more. I conform for others, or I play a role. Awareness allows me the space to slowly fluff my feathers and take up more space. Yeah, so I would say your gauge right now to play with would be to fluff your feathers and take up more space. And if anybody's resonating with that, your gauge was somehow like not serving you and measuring the wrong thing, just go ahead and throw it out. You give it to the earth, give it to her. Thank you. That was interesting. And then just make another one. Or you could remake the same one, but just with, like, okay, now I'm measuring my havingness to fluff my feathers and take up more space.
I realized that my thing that I'm giving myself permission to be is like basically socially inappropriate or socially unacceptable. And so I noticed when I envisioned like a circle, and the gauge, it was like when it was at 3/4, it was like I was trying to push it with my body. And then when you said I could just reach in with my fingers and just dial it, it was like, oh, I don't have to try so hard. Right. Okay. There's my, I'm like, ping, ping, ping. There's my, my pattern. Right. But, also, it got really silly when it was like, oh, crank it up. And I just like started laughing because I was like, social inappropriateness, just like, it feels so fun and like silly. And yeah. And then it got like also like really scary to be so weird. So it was, yeah, it's fun. Thank you for this.
David said, oh, I love being socially inappropriate, LOL. He really does. He really, really does. That's why he's a great marketing coach, I think. And he said he saw the outline of the Statue of Liberty, especially her crown. Cool. So when there's something you want to have or be, and you're having that contrasting experience that you don't have it, and you catch yourself spinning out, feeling bummed out, freaking out, I am 1000% talking to myself right now. This is something you have. And when you that you can do, something you can actually do about it, other than all the things you can't control about whatever the circumstance is that you're fretting about, tripping out about. You can actually do that. And it can change everything about the circumstance. I mean, this is magic, you guys. I mean, it's actually really practical, just like energetic mechanics. But it's a way to inspire yourself to vibrate at, or closer to your nature of who you are. And from there, when you're vibrating from there, oh my gosh, so many things open up. You'll get ideas. They may be ones that are like, take a nap right now. And like 5 minutes prior, like you had no havingness to take a nap, but that was your divine guidance, or that was your inner authority. And then you like turn up your havingness to rest. You rest. So I've done this before, and I thought, okay, I gave myself permission to take some long ass nap, and I only needed like 10 minutes. And then I was like, oh my gosh, I've got it. And I was like, like ready to move. Saeri, after our conversation this morning, to do with your gauge. Yes. Yeah, that's why I say I'm totally talking to myself. I'm so transpersonal in human design. I'm a 5/1, and I really do need other people in my process, and helping other people just like lights me up. Did you have something, Enos?
Oh yeah. I was just kind of share what I've been seeing, and the gauge that I was working with was actually, I didn't find out until after, it's this color that I'm wearing, the shirt. Because what I was the havingness was is play. It's having this playfulness. And it's reflected back to a longing that I had in childhood, where I was just playing having an intimate play with, one person, a female in particular. And, I can remember recalling that feeling of play, and losing that over time, and experiencing that level of play, let's say in the beginning stages with my wife, high school, sweethearts, and remembering that feeling, because we had a blue light feeling that was very light, and that's what I was using as a barometer, that pulsating light of blue, and this blue was dark. It started off 20%, that 2 out of 100, or 20 out of 100, and as soon as you start amplifying and reaching into those memories of play and that feeling, that's where it started rising while you were kind of saying that. So coming from that level of playfulness, being reflected in the kids, my 2 boys, and gauging how playful I am in those conversations has been lacking. So it's something that I've been tinkering around with, kind of softening myself, when, let's say, the anger comes around with impatience, or things that don't, let's say it's not self-serving, right? It's more serving them. That's where I find some disconnect in that. So it's like, I want to pull into serving them, but at the same time having that playfulness for me as well. It's like, where's that come into play? Mm-hmm.
Thank you. Chills and tears again. And I'm so moved by, you guys, can you feel how like reality is shifting as Enos is sharing this? It's not there's like him doing that, and we can all feel that too, but we don't really know it so much. But then when he speaks it, it's like literally like changing everything. And you don't have to be a manifester to have that kind of impact. Like that's like all of this stuff that I did. I'm just a little projector. But like me working on just like my attitude and my energy and letting other people witness me, is what's enabled me to be here today sharing this with you all. And I'm just like really, there's something that I came to some years ago, that like I want to do things that I'm proud of. That like I'd be like, hey, that chick's cool. I like what she did. And I'm like, that's happening for me right now. Like I'm looking at this picture I did that's like my vision of family. And I'm like, that's a fucking awesome picture. And I'm really like craving my, artists and to do art lately. And I haven't like really felt the space and the time and the energy. But I'm like, oh my gosh, but back then I was, so filled to the brim, and I did this, and I'm so grateful to myself. So, oh, David said, I'm going to tell people about you. I think we all ought to. This is so much fun. Thank you. Yeah, I've been in a really just like deep re-examining of what I'm doing. Life gave me like my most prosperous year ever, not just as a coach, but like ever. And then wiped my slate clean, and I'm just like really coming back. I'm called back to like why I'm here and what I'm doing. And like the gift of today is, and working with Halima and being with you all and sharing these tools that I started learning in 2008 is, it's like, oh yeah, like what feels good? What turns me on? I'm thinking about my business. How often do we approach business and making money with like, what's going to work? How do I do this? Like, what's the structure? And it's like, those questions they come from your havingness for the reason that you want to serve in the first place, the reason you want to make money in the first place. What is that? I guarantee you it's something that turns you on. and inspires you and excites you about life. So, when we're struggling with our external environment, all we have to do is reconnect with ourselves and turn up our havingness. And then the next steps reveal themselves. Taylor said, what are the conversations that you most want to have? Are you asking me, or is that a question that you're asking yourself? Or
It's a question I've been asking myself, but one that I think leads to contentment, just with this visioning of self and bringing oneself into the world in a new way, is simply like a flywheel. What would the conversations look like that actually bring you more energy while you're having them with others?
I love that, because, that's really where the rubber meets the road, is when we are relating with other people, because we're allowing ourselves to be seen. We're seeing another. And then there's the co-creation between the two of us, even if we don't collaborate or something, just that exchange and that respect and that love that we share with people is, what else are we here for? And I think that's one of the ways where, I see people get bogged down in human design, because it can kind of start to seem like we're just trying to create a vacuum that we exist inside of and cannot be influenced by anybody else or influence anybody else. And it's just very lonely and limiting. And if we all need alone time to varying degrees, so there's something to crank up havingness for, but it's like that can be what nourishes us so that we can go and have the conversations that turn us on. So, I said I was going to give some updates about the group. I kind of shared a little bit already, but what I'm moving toward is I'm going to let go of the daily prompts for now. I'm just showing up on some calls is it's a lot. It's a lot that I give, and I love to give it. The daily prompts are feeling a little heavy for me. Maybe every now and then I'll be like, this week we're going to do this transformation process, like a challenge kind of style. And I got some feedback from some other people that they were feeling kind of pressured by it too. And that's certainly not the intention or what I want to do. So we'll see if that comes back around. But right now where I'm at is, I think I'm going to do 3 calls the first 3 weeks of the month. The second Thursday of the month is going to be a workshop, and I'm going to open that up for other people to come in. And, if they want, maybe it'll be like $50. If they want to just come to just the workshop and not be in our group. And so that's a way that people can come and experience this. And, perhaps I will also sell the recordings. I don't know. We'll see. And that'll be available to y'all in the group. And then on the first and the third Thursdays, we'll just meet and see what comes through. Have a chat. Maybe I'll guide a process, or we'll share what we're working on. I do intend to create themes. Actually, I'd forgotten about this. I'm working on creating a theme for every month. So I'm going to base the workshops and the calls and, the stuff I do in the group on that theme. That tends to just really naturally flow through me. I did this once for a whole year when I had another group, and it was really crazy to me it was wild and wonderful how, as I walked through that year, how spot on the themes were and how naturally they came to me. I didn't feel limited by them at all. So I'm creating that again right now. And then I'm also creating a mid-tier between this and Clarity Journey. That is, I'm opening up to coach people one-on-one. I think it would be a minimum of 4 months. And they're, probably a minimum of 2 meetings, but I might be persuaded to go down to 1 meeting a month. Some people are, really just need that one. But like, I think 1 to 4 meetings a month. And I'm going to be creating an office hours call for those people who are working with me in that capacity. So once a month, there will be a group call with all my one-on-one clients that they're welcome to come on to. So, and I'll just probably be including people who do that can just be in this as a bonus to that. So I don't know how I'll administratively like work all of that, but I'm not really at that point right now. So I'm not going to worry about it. So yeah, I really appreciate you all for being here. I'm so variable, that's like, I have a very diffuse awareness that is the focus is drawn through me by who I'm with. And so the first people who like come into a project of mine are really like creating the focus for it. And I just adore each one of you. And it's been so fun so far. So if you have anybody that you think would, you want to play with in here who could benefit from this, like I've now set up, thank you, David, a Calendly. I've set up my Calendly. So just right on my website, they can sign up for a 15-minute chemistry call. But I also have, and also for 30 minutes if they're interested in one-on-one work. Which is on my website, all on my website now. I updated it. And then for our group calls, I'm going to start having you all register for them through Calendly too. So I'm not going to send out a Zoom link every time. You'll just get one auto-generated by Calendly. How fucking cool is that? So I'll be, basically you can go on there and you can sign up for up to three 30 days worth of the Thursday calls. So and then that's how you'll get the link. So that helps me out. So I kind of get a sense of the intent of who's going to be there. And that starts to pull my focus through already when I know that. And then you'll have access to your Zoom link, without me having to like go and find anything or search through the WhatsApp group or whatever.
I have a question
Uh-huh.
for that. So I have the Zoom link that we've been using just in my calendar set up for every time. So is that not going to work now? We have to go through the Calendly, is that right?
Yeah, but when you do Calendly, you can put that in you can auto put it in your calendar.
Yeah,
right?
I just was wondering if we needed to go through Calendly or if I could just keep doing what I've been doing, but it sounds like I have to go through Calendly. It's going to be a new Zoom link and you want to be able to track who's going to be
I
there.
would do it that way, but I don't know how. It just creates one through Calendly.
Right. So yeah, so that's what I was wondering is we have to go through Calendly. I can't just
Sorry, a little administrative work, but I appreciate.
Not a problem at all. I just wanted to make sure. So to make sure I had it right. And I figured I might not be the only one.
That's right. Yeah. But you'll be able to do it, monthly, like just pop them all in your calendar for the month. And then, you want to get together and talk with me, just let me know. And, you can have a 30-minute call with me. And if you want to work one-on-one, let me know. Let's have a conversation and we can create something custom for you. And there's always the depth of clarity journey if you're wanting to. Oh, that's a sweet question. What image can you hold for me on my birthday coming up? Oh, thank you. That's so sweet. Kind of like, I'm not blushing, but my heart feels kind of blushy. Yeah, I mean, how do I want to say this when somebody's just asking me? It's so funny to like, I mean, I really want the people to come in who I can serve and I can help. Like that is my greatest joy. I love that. And yeah, I have a vision of just the blessings of all of you just pouring and circulate. I think circulating is the word, so that, people come in and they bless my coaching practice, with their presence and their money that blesses up my life. And that I get to meet the people who I can help on deeper levels too, and that this group is like, just gets super fun and it stays super fun and light. And not to say that we don't get to feel tired or grumpy, but that this is a place where, we can all just turn up our havingness for who we really are and what we want to create in this world. So that any pictures that come up for you around that, there are lots of rainbows and gold and for me, and just hugs and dancing and like just really beautiful crying, I think, too. Release, surrender. David saw sausage. There you go, Nova. Actually inappropriate. Right on David's coattails. Oh, David said, let's get 16 people in here. Yes, 16 people would be great. I was just explaining this to David this morning and my other group, which I'm sure they were like, what is she talking about? But I have a WA channel, as does the 2551 is about, it's in the circuit of, it's in a WA circuit. So that is about 16 people. It's like you've got the penta that's 3 to 5 people. I'm actually, pentas are a lot of work for me. So we're in penta zone right now. And this is flowing pretty well. But it's flowing fantastically, but it is a lot of energy for me to hold a penta group. I do much better with a larger group, and there's a lot more synergy available for everybody. So yes, you can, thank you for that specific picture, David. 16 people in this group would be fantastic. It's true. David's havingness for social inappropriateness is high. It's inspiring. And I mean, sausage, I think, is a common vehicle for us, because there was a coaching call in his group that was deeply inappropriate and like so amusing and so full, and sausage was involved. Sizzling sausage. All right, anything else, anybody, before we depart?
Saeri, I just want to say thank you so much for this group, for everything that you do for us and guiding with the prompts and how like incredible they have been, and these calls and I'm just feeling so much gratitude for you right now. So grateful for the ways that you guide us here. Thank you.
Thank you, sister. Yeah, I feel really inspired and excited for what's next. And I'm just like standing right on the edge of the void at the same time. So that's a real win for me to be, about to leap or mid leap and be cultivating such a great attitude and have you all here with me too. Yeah. All right, beauties, let's depart for now. Nova, I wonder if you want to stay on and if we can finally have our conversation. Yeah. Okay, cool. All right, I'm gonna stop the